So yeah, like week 9, here we are.
Yeah, week 9.
Let's go. We're finally over the hump in terms of the midway point in the season, and it's the playoff push. And
from here on out,
we've got 6 teams that are in a 6-way tie for first.
Well, not exactly because of tiebreakers, but
well, I mean,
but there's
it kind of is
6-way positional tie for or record tie for first.
Because like
there
if
are,
one
there
team,
are individual tiebreakers here that are affecting how things are shaking out.
Yeah, I mean I think based on the matchups for this week, I don't think it's possible for one team to have sole position of first based on record. It would be because the tiebreaker would split out by points 4. But
yes,
the 6 seed for points.
6 seed goes to the team that scored the most points in the season, regardless of record, which is what you Joe are kind of in the hunt for that. You're looking at that like that meme of that dude behind the tree. It's like,
yeah. Well, the most important game, I mean, matchup wise, maybe we start with matchups. I don't know, but yeah, there's a clear delineation between the 4 or the 6 not 6-win teams and the 6 6-win teams.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. Honestly, we have a shocking amount of parity. I mean, I know we just did our startup draft this season. This is the first season of this league in its history. What we're dealing with is a glorified redraft format right now, so we should be having a great deal of parity with maybe some statistical outliers of a team that is getting exceptionally lucky and is nearly undefeated, but we don't have that. We just have a couple teams
that are a team that's getting particularly hosed.
Well, a couple teams. Ben and Matt are both having a rough season.
Yeah.
But like it's not really based on their draft per se. Maybe they have a couple of key players that are underperforming. Maybe they'll have a much better season next year. Both of those teams have traded away some pieces for some draft capital. So I expect them to be in a much better position next year if their rookie draft hits. But
or if they take draft capital and flip it into other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that as well.
The other thing too is that like maybe some of their players just do better next year.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not like either of them is. Well, it's not like Ben
both of them are getting mashed.
Sloughing on 0.4, but they're just getting slammed in the points against.
Yeah, they've been running up against some really difficult teams, and then you have like teams like me and Danny that just don't like. We're just running into soft teams that just don't score that much, and that's kind of
right.
We're putting enough points to beat them every week, but. We're just in a situation where our teams have, we're well over 500 as a result.
Yeah. So, exactly. There's a lot of those luck of the draw kind of things sorting out in the standings right now.
Yeah. Me
points or something, but I have
you have a boatload of points against, but like me, Casey, and Danny all have had relatively soft schedules. It doesn't really work. That term doesn't really work for fantasy.
It's not exactly the same, but yeah.
Anyway, no Trevor today. He wanted to take a break. He's doing his thing. We'll talk about his matchup and everything, but he'll probably be back next week. So yeah, let's get into the matchups.
Yeah, where are we starting?
I think we start from the top. I want to get my game out of the way here because this was so fucking bad.
Yeah, oh boy.
So my team
team here.
My team literally did nothing. My stud list is nobody. My entire team is trash, even my bench.
Oh, you had multiple negative points this week. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Edmonds is oh boy. Yeah, that's rough.
Like I've got K9 had a really bad day. The entire Seahawks had a really bad day. George Pickens had an easy touchdown.
Cool.
but
Doesn't know how to
he
drag
thought
his-
he thought he was in college. Here, let me
He
Let me
forgot the toe drag swag.
here.
There's no even attempt at a
This
toe drag.
this fucking screenshot right here. He didn't get his feet down in bounds on this play.
But he's so close.
No,
he didn't?
not even
What
so
the
close.
fuck?
He's just like in the
Just
middle
put
of
the
the
foot down.
all over. And
he did not get his feet down in bounds on this play.
What the fuck is that?
He ended the day with negative yardage.
yeah. With
So-
negative
No.
1 yard.
Okay.
That's remarkable,
Shame. Yeah.
I got those. It was not great.
Let's see here. I had a couple other nightmares.
Tua just like fucking. Like,
Tua,
had a bad game.
dude. Okay,
He
I wanted
turned the
to
ball
save.
over.
I wanted to save this for later, but these international games are trash for the game.
They're so
It's-
bad for fantasy.
It's really, really good for the NFL.
Yeah.
Going into the international market and attracting fan bases from the European sports market is a really good idea. This is an American sport. It should be played in America. You get one game a week, guys.
And, I mean,
One game a week. And when you have a team that is playing this physical, brutal game and getting like their body is suffering a car wreck on nearly every play, as they say,
Mm-hmm.
you fly all the way to Germany, all the way to London, and eventually, I think next year they're doing a game in Paris. The quality of the game is so poor because the players are jet lagged. Like, if you've ever flown from America to Europe, like especially if you're a West Coast team, it's hard on your body. Like, it takes a couple of days to really get your internal clock set. Like, you can do the trick where you sleep on the plane, or when you arrive, you sleep late at night and then wake up during the middle of the day the following day and kind of reset your clock that way, and then just sleep a little bit earlier in the evening. But these guys are playing a physical game at the highest level, and as a result, it's crap football. Like, even with the experiment they did with Jacksonville where they left them there for a week, the game was still shit.
It created a severe disadvantage. I mean, that's what it is they need to, if they're going to do it, they need to schedule the international games the week after that team's bye and give them time to travel, extra time to travel and get right.
But then it's coming back is always way worse.
That's
It
true.
doesn't solve the next problem of
Right.
travel.
Returning to the States is also
Right. Also a
a
problem.
gauntlet of flights, and it's like,
I mean,
dude,
even, yeah.
Flying
Even, yeah.
like private, where you can actually, where you don't, and you might have to refuel, and it's like not a big deal about like the extra stress of going through like an airport.
They have to
It's
charter.
16 hours for West Coast teams to like London or whatever it is.
Yeah, no,
Where, like,
it's
even
crazy.
The Giants are going like 9.
yeah.
Yeah, they have to charter flights. I mean, that's the whole
but
of
even
it.
if they do, it's still like you have to like you still,
You still have to deal with the time difference, which is like 10 hours
Yeah.
from the East Coast.
I mean, you can see it too. Like Tyreek, like scoring 11 points. Like that's not.
Yeah, that's an abnormal game. I mean,
The entire game was just shit.
well, and
It was shit.
it like all of the European trips do not favor offenses, especially.
I can't
because
think of the
offenses
last
need to be a
time.
lot more coordinated and on the same page, right? So
Well, I can't think of the last time I've watched an international game and been like, that was a good game of football. It's always
That happened.
the last
it's
Mexico
always
City game is
I mean,
what I'll counter with, but that's like
that doesn't count.
kind
They're
of not the same.
They're not
you know?
flying.
Yeah, you're
fucking
not
six-
doing the hop over the Atlantic.
Yeah,
like,
you're not flying
you're going
6
south to Mexico
time zones
City.
out. Yeah,
It's just Denver plus.
And it's
You know?
not like, and it's also not like the weird thing about like altitude with Denver, where like Mexico City is like at a higher elevation, but you never hear shit about like when a team goes and plays some type of game in Mexico
Yeah.
City versus like anywhere else in the entire world. Like,
Yeah,
no, time is
Well,
like
the
a
whole
real
thing at Denver
That
is, like,
fucks with you, yeah.
it's kind of bullshit.
yeah. The only
It's
thing I
not
hear
really
about
much of a home
the
court advantage or home field advantage.
Yeah, the only thing I hear about the Mexico games is the field is garbage.
Right.
Like it's tore up. Like that was famously that super awesome game between Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady a couple years ago that was like went over 100 points total or whatever. It was so fun to watch. It was like they had to move the game because it was a football pitch. It was a football pitch, and then they had to relocate the game at the last second because the field wasn't ready.
Too ate up.
But yeah, I don't know.
That's a different kind of logistical issue, but yeah, I think that I agree. The international games great for the NFL. Avoid them like the plague in fantasy.
Yeah.
Just don't even fucking touch them.
I mean, it's just such a crapshoot. It's such a crapshoot.
Like, feel free to play the defensive players. Like, I've had a lot of luck with that.
But like, are you not gonna play Tyreek Hill? You know, like, it's not like Casey's looking at that and is like, yeah, I'm gonna bench Tyreek Hill because he's playing in Germany this weekend. You're not doing that.
Literally the RW1 on the season.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, my whole team is a giant walking L. Let's see here. I'm just gonna go straight through it. Like Tua was tired. K9's usage is being ceded to Charbonnet in a situation where they can't do anything, and they had like less than 15 touches between the two of them. Brian Robinson did something and was the only player on my team that actually managed to get a touchdown, basically. George Pickens, as we just looked at, can't get his feet can't get his feet down in bounds and had -1 yards receiving on the day.
Fuck that.
Pittman caught all his balls, but it was just like
for nothing.
Good job. You didn't need to do anything because Bryce Young threw 2 pick sixes to Kenny Moore. It's like, bro, he's not a Colt, or he's not a Panther. He's a Colt. Like, why are you throwing the ball at Kenny Moore? That also, he was that offensive line is a mess. The skill positions that Bryce Young has to throw to are Adam Thielen, and that's it. They can't get separation.
Carolina, it's a garbage team.
It's terrible.
It's bad offensive ball going on in Carolina.
Kyle Pitts is
Arthur Smith is still a fantasy terrorist.
He's blocking. Kyle Pitts is blocking for Jonnu Smith on jet sweeps, apparently. Like,
oh yeah, I heard about that.
Look at this. Look at this shit, man. So Kyle Pitts is
lined up in the traditional inside tight end.
All right, I stand corrected.
Jonnu Smith's about to be in motion, right?
Yeah. So Arthur Smith puts Jonnu Smith in motion, so he gets the handoff on this jet sweep here, and Kyle Pitts is one-on-one with Daniel Hunter, and then he bounces it outside, like
instead of going right through the huge fucking gap right there. Like
right here, he could have cut right. Like if Bijan Robinson is taking this rep, he cuts inside and scores an easy touchdown.
Yeah,
he's got 5 yards of carry on the season. But instead, Arthur Smith is calling this stupid fucking play where he has.
What's with the outside zone run from the tight end to the tight end?
It's a jet sweep. He's running
the wrong tight end, to the slow one.
I don't understand.
The other thing is, Arthur Smith talks about his players like they're basketball players. It's like fundamentally different game. Stop treating them like that. Like Bijan doesn't have any. Like the difference between like him having the ball and not having the ball is like incomparable.
Well, you know what Arthur Smith had to say about Bijan Robinson after this game? His impact away from the ball can open things up.
That is how people talk about Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That is
stupid.
I heard that.
Bijan Robinson is the Steph Curry of the NFL. Because his coaching staff thinks that he needs to be used as a funky gadget player that they drafted top 10. And then similarly, you got Drake London and Kyle Pitts that they drafted in the last couple years as top 10 picks, like the first offensive weapons off the board in a lot of cases these years. Kyle Pitts, the highest drafted tight end in history, who broke a record, Yeah.
I mean,
This-
1,000
look-
yards rookie season. It's not like we haven't seen him be like a good pass catcher.
But then they have
the
him do
Arthur
this.
Smith offense
Then
is
they have him
all
do
fluff.
this.
There is no substance aside from Desmond Ridder running the ball.
So Kyle Pitts is blocking Danielle Hunter, who's like one of the best linemen in the league. And
Yeah.
it's basically a draw. Like, yeah, Kyle Pitts could have got
No,
a
Pitts
little bit more
loses.
physical and shoved him out of the way and created more space for him to get into
Pitts
the end zone
loses
here.
this for sure because he gets blocked right into the lane.
But the thing is that he holds it. He holds him here.
Yeah, right. He seals
There's
it.
there's a hole in the middle. Like Jonnu does it. If he bounces this inside, he gets a touchdown. Like Pitts loses the
obviously
rep.
Jonnu
Pitts loses
fucked
the
up.
rep because like he's not
I mean,
amazing
right
at blocking.
there, right?
He's not
Right.
amazing at blocking. Jonnu Smith is much better at
He
blocking
does-
than
you know
Kyle
what?
Pitts is.
You know what? Here's the thing. Kyle Pitts actually did the rep right. He performed the job correctly.
he just got
Jonnu
mashed on
Smith
by Danielle
fucked up.
Hunter.
And yeah, he just got mashed on. and
Jonnu
Smith fucked
Jonnu
up.
Smith isn't. He's a tight end. He's
not
not
supposed
the
to be
guy.
running
He's
this
not the
route.
guy who's supposed to have the vision to know where to bounce the ball when you're taking a jet sweep on a run play. Like,
Also, just think about like asking a tight end to block Danielle Hunter when most tackles can't do that. Like,
Yeah,
What's
right.
the
You better
thought
be
process?
Mercedes fucking Lewis if you are expecting a tight end to block Danielle Hunter. Like it just doesn't
maybe
go.
Cam Hayward, not Cam Hayward, but who's the tight end for Pittsburgh? Who's like just a battle toad? also-
Washington?
Washington,
No, it's the veteran dude.
Pat Fryermuth.
Ryermuth?
No, he's older. No. Fuck.
I don't know. I just went through all the obscure tight
The
ends that I know.
Pittsburgh tight
That I
ends
know
that I
in
know,
Pittsburgh.
yeah, like I'm glad we got to the exact same place at the exact same time on both of those guys.
But like, am I fucking crazy?
No,
Arthur
you're not.
Smith
That's
is
so
smoking
bad.
crack, dude. Like,
No,
I-
he's not a good coach. It's,
He's a bad.
he'll get
He's
fired at the end of the year.
you know what?
You're
Worse
not,
than
you're-
McDaniels.
and
There
I
it
like the
is.
Falcons. I want to watch the Falcons win, man. But instead, I'm in this position where it's like I want them to lose, so that not because I want my fantasy team to do better, but because Arthur Smith is such a bitch. Like,
I totally get it.
I would-
totally get that situation.
so Hugh Jackson was also, or not Hugh Jackson, fucking, I just spaced on the name of the coach for the Browns.
Kevin Stefanski.
No,
Stefanski.
the one that went 0-16 or 0-17. Oh no, it was Hugh Jackson.
yeah, it's just a
Tight end's
different.
name is Connor Hayward.
Oh, Connor Hayward is who you're talking
Connor
about.
Hayward. Yeah.
He's just a blocking tight end. He looks like he should be like a running back because he's so short. It's like
Yeah.
you can move him because he's like just a bowling ball.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but like, okay, so Hugh Jackson was incompetent in a way that was endearing because he was just like, he was a nice guy. He just was in over his head and was just a bad coach. Arthur Smith is like intentionally like a smartass to the media. He does things in game that are just like mind blowing because it's like, I'm sure Hugh Jackson would have loved to have Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson.
I mean, he was Hugh Jackson's like quarterback. I mean,
It was
They drafted Baker.
Baker Mayfield.
And before
Exactly.
that, they had it was just a revolving door of dog shit quarterbacks. But like, it's I don't want to continue to belabor the point here, but Arthur Smith needs to be fired. He's ruining that team. Not just for like, oh, my fantasy team, but like he's actually losing in a division that's very winnable.
Yeah. Like,
And
talent-wise, they're-
it's just embarrassing. And we'll talk
This
about
was-
Josh Dobbs in a minute here when we get to
that
Trevor's
was the
game.
speaking
But-
of which, that was the RG3 year.
Okay.
They went from Manziel to RG3 in 2016.
Oh, Johnny Manziel, I forgot about that guy.
And
That
then-
speaking of horrible quarterback,
that's
biggest
like Tebow
biggest
level.
bust.
Yeah, right. And then
We should shout out Josh Jacobs and the Raiders
Yeah.
for like throwing off the yoke of the Patriots way.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's
Yes.
talk about Casey's game here, because he was in Bye-Mageddon. Like, he has a lot of players in that were on bye this week, and he cobbled together a team that put me out of my misery, basically. Like, he had Josh Jacobs, he had Taysom Hill, and Levante David, who really put a clinic on me and basically pushed it over the edge here. But he was suffering from some of the same bullshit that I was. Like, he has Bijan Robinson. We just talked about that. And then the Tyreek Hill situation was not good.
I mean, he had to start Braxton Berrios and
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah. He had to pivot to some really gross players to try and beat me this week. And really, he didn't even need them, because my team did so fucking bad. One of the things I wanted to point out that I thought was hilarious was the Tyreek fumble that he had was a play where it was a scoop and score, but on that play they had to lateral the ball, so it was a scoop and score lateral defensive touchdown off of the Tyreek Hill fumble, which I thought was funny.
If you watch the play too, the guy who's lateraling it is bear hugged and like does this weird underhand toss to get it out because he's getting bear hugged.
Yeah.
He just like coughs it up a little bit, and like it is really funny. Like, you know, like that is something that Travis Kelsey would do.
Yeah.
And it's clearly talking about it and like joking with the defensive guys. So I'm excited to hear his take on that whole play.
I will say about that fumble though, I'm pretty sure that's the Trent McDuffie fumble, and so that's why he got the nickname McBuffy the Tyreek Slayer.
Yeah, he had a game.
Yes. He had a
shut
game.
him down.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Casey defeats me, and he doesn't really matter who I would have played this week.
Ever scored?
I don't know. It's the lowest I've ever scored, and I was also
For
the
sure.
lowest scoring team on the week.
It
So
was the lowest on the week too. So
egg is on my face. It does not matter who I would have played this week.
Yeah.
I would have got shit on
exactly.
regardless. I'm glad it was. Well, here's the thing: is like Casey has been one of my primary rivals in fantasy for basically since I started playing fantasy with him. Particularly because of his Juju Smith-Schuster pickup in like 2018 off the waiver wire, who then he used to bash my head in a championship match. And since then, every single time I play Casey, it feels like it's a divisional game in the NFL where it's like weird shit happens, and here you have it.
Yeah.
It was a fucky game. So there we have it. Congratulations, Casey. You beat me again. I think he has a winning record overall. I have to go back and look at all of our matchups, but I think he's beat me more than I beat him at this point. I've got to really step my game up, I guess.
Yeah, that 40% that is skill.
Yeah.
This game is it isn't the closest of the week, but it should have been. Like this is a rough loss.
Ben and John, I feel like they both had a really good games. There's a lot to like here. Like Ben had Joe Burrow, he had Raheem Mostert, Nico Collins took advantage of CJ Stroud's historic day, best game by a rookie in history, with nearly 500 yards passing and 5 touchdowns.
Everybody who had CJ Stroud as the guy they would have taken number one. I know a few of us at the startup draft were talking about that. I don't remember who said it.
He ended up going in the last, like he went around the turn. So Josh ended up getting him. I liked Bryce Young, so I picked Bryce Young, but that was a mistake, clearly.
I think we were talking about not the R draft, but like the real draft.
Yeah. The move up.
Yeah.
So I don't hate. I don't like what the Panthers did. I think they overpaid for their guy, but I still think Bryce Young has a shot to be good in the NFL. Like, he probably won't be great, but he could be a low-tier starter for a team in the future.
I think he's just in the same position Kyler's in. It's just a terrible run organization with no O-line. You can do that to any quarterback. It doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah, but the problem is with the Panthers is that they're in this situation where they don't have any draft capital next year. It was just a
Right.
key year. They're basically throwing a
they
year
need
away
to.
on his rookie contract because they need talent on that team, and that's why I'm kind of withholding judgment on Bryce Young. And I think that the comparisons to C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are kind of stupid because they're in completely different situations. Like, yes,
Stroud is in a great situation.
no, not even because C.J. Stroud's line is destroyed. They're
His O-line
playing.
is bad this year, but they're playing good.
The O line is playing well, but it's a lot of makeshift pieces, which is great for him that the line is keeping up enough from the defense to give him an opportunity to make the right reads and get the passes in that he needs to get in. But like the weapons that he has are so much better, and it's the Texans are a year ahead on their full rebuild. The Panthers have kind of been in this like retool, kind of figured out situation for multiple years in a row, and they have not fully committed to a rebuild to this point. Last year, this year, they kind of did that by selling the farm and drafting their star quarterback. But it's like, this is a organizational issue because they traded DJ Moore, their best wide receiver, in order to get him. And it is going to be a long time before the Carolina Panthers are actually going to be a competitive team. So until Bryce Young has pieces around him that make sense and actually can play football,
other than
Adam Thielen, and they're not a bottom 4 team in the league, then I think we can make some
start talking
comparisons
about him more
to CJ
but
Stroud and Levis and Anthony Richardson and all that, because he went 101. So,
and most draft analysts, when I say people, had him go like number 1. There were a few that had Stroud, but they were definitely the minority.
Yeah. Anyway. Nico Collins balled out. Njoku, he was good for a touchdown. Najee finally looked okay. He looked like he got the cement shoes off and finally got some work done. Alex Highsmith is a game wrecker. Bunch of production in this game. Denzel Ward was amazing.
AJ Terrell's a really good player.
Yeah.
Really good.
But Zay Flowers, dud, was not needed. The Seahawks were terrible. Devontae Adams
still a distraction for Jacoby Myers for some reason. Still can't figure that one out.
Yeah, it's the same shit as in Atlanta. Like, you have this freak of nature player, and he's not the focal point of your offense.
So badly, yeah.
It's crazy.
Jacobs was clearly Aiden O'Connell at the helm meant handoff to Jacobs was the game plan.
Yeah,
for the Raiders.
It did work.
Which did work.
Giants, right? The Giants? No.
Yeah, 30-6. They walloped him.
Yeah, I mean, fuck Mike McDaniels.
And then Mike McDaniels is the good one.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels
is the bad.
Or did I say
Mike McDaniel?
I meant Josh.
Good. Josh McDaniels bad.
Did I say Mike?
Bad.
I fucked up.
You said Mike. Yeah. You did say Mike McDaniels, which is not
Mike
right
McDaniels. Mike
of them.
McDaniels is my BFF. That dude is the homie.
It's
I meant
McDaniel.
Josh. Did you see? Did you guys
not have the S?
Did you guys see that story about how McDaniels put the assistant coach in front of the team and was giving this rah-rah speech about how we got to be like the New York Giants coming into the playoffs to beat the undefeated Patriots?
And then
McDaniels got angry that his assistant coach was speaking ill of the Patriots. Like, don't talk about them that way. And that's when he completely lost the locker room and then got fired.
The guy who's the current head coach is the dude telling the story.
Yeah.
So like, duh. Like,
when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I can see why these players were so pissed off at him, because it's not even the team that they play for. Like, who gives a fuck if it's the Patriots, man? I imagine a lot of the players on that team don't like the Patriots that much. Like, What the hell is your angle? Like, don't speak about the Patriots that way, motherfucker. Who cares?
Yeah,
Who
you're
cares?
the Raiders. You're the Raiders.
You're many
Like,
years removed from that team at this point. Get over it. Who cares? You can
Also, the Raiders, like, being a Raider is like the exact opposite of being a Patriot. You know?
Yeah.
yeah, bringing the
everything
Patriot
those teams
way
stand
to
for
the
is the
Raiders is
exact
such a
opposite.
bad idea. Yeah, like it just is antithetical to the whole history of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, there's a reason NWA like wore Raiders gear. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, yo,
It's like it's also that West Coast East Coast shit, man. Like what? Like I'm glad he's gone. Like I'm waiting.
Get out of here
like,
with that shit.
Get out of here with that shit, and then get rid of fucking Arthur Smith while you're at it. Like
Yeah, next on the
for
list.
fuck's sake.
yeah. All right, so John, who, like, Alexander Madison actually like
He had a game.
to work today.
He did it. Alexander Madison.
He had to get off of Matt's squad.
Yeah,
in order
he
to have a
traded
game.
him. He traded him. He got the bag from John. and then he had
went
a
off.
game. He went
Yeah.
off. Fuck yeah.
Oh boy.
Jalen Hurts managed to get another win. Managed the game to victory here. That was actually one of the good games this week.
That was a great game. This
I
week.
actually enjoyed watching that. I was telling Joe before we started recording here that like it's so hard to watch the NFL this season because it's like all the blowouts and just the offenses are just so fucking bad and the lack of quarterback play. Like I had to go watch the Huskies USC game this weekend because I wanted to watch a good fucking offense. Like I wanted to watch some fucking touchdowns, man.
You wanted to watch a good
That
football
was a-
product?
That was a worthwhile game to watch too.
It was so good. I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
Dude,
They can score, they can run, they can do something more than just throw the ball at the outside the numbers for 10 yards every fucking play. Like that just feels like that's what the NFL is. It's like modern defenses are so good at containing the big plays. It's forcing every single coordinator to just do this dink and dunk shit, and it's just like so fucking boring to watch. Like I like offense. I like watching offensive play. And I'm not getting that this season. Like I do like defense. I like watching like physical play, pass breakups and sacks. Like when they just the pass rush gets past the line and then they're chasing the guy and then he sacks him and the ball comes out and they pick it up and they run it. Like that shit's great. But like what I like in addition to that is the bomb touchdown, the 60-yard fucking like gunslinger games where it's the end of the score at the end of the game's like 42-38. Like those games are awesome, and we're not getting any of those. We're getting the 42-7 games, and it's like
Well, you weren't watching the
please.
Texans versus Tampa Bay game.
no, that was one of the good games. That
was a great game.
I was expecting that game to be the fucking Bills game versus Cincy. I was expecting that game to be fucking awesome, and it was
And they
trash.
and the Bills threw the ball everywhere, and it was still trash.
It was horrible. But like, yeah, that Texans game was awesome. The Falcons game was awesome. And I want to talk about Josh Dobbs when we get to Trevor's game. Don't let me forget that. But like,
Yeah, no, we got
those
a lot to
games,
say about
those
Dobbs.
those three games, and then maybe the Cowboys game this weekend were the only games that were any good. Everything else was just a fucking snooze fest. It was awful. The NFL this year has been an awful product, and it's so hard to watch. And I'm so glad that I play fantasy football because, like, I don't understand how people can watch those games and not play fantasy. It's like,
Yeah.
it's gross. We're watching fucking the Jets in primetime again on Sunday Night Football this week.
Really, again?
Great fucking job, NFL. Like,
Flex
how are we
them.
not flexing this game? It's
No, they've
going to be
already said they're
trash.
not flexing. They've already said they're not flexing that game.
Why? Aaron Rodgers injured his Achilles in like the first fucking drive of week 1. That game should have been flexed the moment that happened. Once they saw Zach Wilson was the starter, that game should have been flexed. Anyway, I'm getting heated. But the NFL fucking
you know what?
sucks right now, bro.
All
Yeah,
right, Let's
The-
shout out.
Honestly, I really do think it's the Aaron Rodgers on the Jets hype that fucked this up for so many people.
Oh, obviously that's what they just
You
didn't
know,
adjust the
like-
schedule. Like that's why
No,
we're getting the Jets
they
in
didn't
prime
adjust
time
it
again.
back. Yeah, exactly. It's
Well,
like
it's also that
the
New York
NFL's number
is
one
like the
heel.
largest media market.
It is a
has the
huge
largest
market.
fan base, and people will tune in.
I don't give a
because of
fuck.
the Jets, and
We
it's-
have to watch Bryce Young figure it out again on Thursday. Like
no,
Every
no.
team has to get their primetime slot too. You know,
Oh,
everybody gets a Thursday night game. It's just how it goes.
garbage.
You're gonna have some shitty ones when the shitty teams play.
Anyway, let's talk about some like actual good football. So Jordan Hicks, he went sicko mode. The Falcons.
Yeah,
The Vikings defense were solid
they just went
in that
crazy.
game. Despite the fact that the Falcons gave up 26, like
28.
no,
Oh,
they
no,
got a
yeah,
safety.
yeah.
They got a safety
Right.
in that game.
Right.
So, yeah.
Fucking game. Crazy.
Reed Blankenship, what a
Great.
steal on the waiver wire, man! Like
Yeah,
that dude is a stud this year.
yeah, that kid can ball.
Yeah, he's fun to watch too. He's running all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah, for a first year dude, that's a
no,
Great.
he's a second year.
it's second year.
He's young. Like he's developed.
1 year
quite a
of
bit.
experience.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs.
Pretty good for a white DB. You know what I mean? Look at these.
They let white guys do that?
Yeah. Look at
Safety, not a corner.
look at his stats, man. Like he's a tackle machine.
Oh, he's a safety? Okay. That's fine. He's just fitting this Harrison Smith mold.
I mean, he's still a good player. Like, I'm not gonna take that away from him.
Yeah,
But
I can't remember who said that. I think it was
It was Travis Kelsey.
was it
Yeah.
was it Kelsey? He's like, I didn't know
It
why they
was-
let
it
white
was
people
the-
do that.
Yeah.
It was the Kelsey brothers on their
because there was
podcast.
some, because this year in the combine there was some like white guy doing who's was gonna get
cornerback.
drafted as a corner.
Yeah,
Riley Moss.
yeah,
He did get drafted in Denver. Third round, I think.
yeah.
Good for him. Well,
Um,
Stephon Diggs had a Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
game.
Stephon Diggs is a like top end wide receiver right now. Like absolute no brainer. Is the only saving grace in that awful fucking Bills game was Stephon Diggs.
Digging.
Like even
Yeah.
like Josh Allen like we'll get to it later, but like he had a good fantasy day, but like not for real life football. We'll talk about that with Steve's matchup though.
I have
Sucks that
thoughts
Goddard got hurt.
Yeah, he broke his arm, so
Yeah,
he's
he's
done.
going to be out another 4 weeks.
They were saying 4 weeks,
least.
but like I don't know the severity. Like if it's just like a hairline fracture or if it's like an actual compound fracture.
Even then, for a tight end, you're going to need to let that thing fully set and heal up.
Yeah,
so
with
it's going
all
to be
with the amount of blocking Goddard does, like he's actually a good
Mhm.
blocking tight end.
exactly.
So they're gonna
he's
need him for that.
He's an actual all-arounder. They're going to let him sit for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks for Goddard.
Yeah.
Zach Moss turned back into a pumpkin, and Thibodeau and Okereke, Giants just got fucking handled.
The Giants got wrecked.
That game sucked. So on top of the pile of games that were just dog shit
The
Rest
3-layer
that
Giant
game
stack here is
in
fun.
particular.
But I didn't notice Big Blue coming out in the defense as hard as it did there when I first scanned it.
Yeah. Quincy Williams came back to earth too.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting him to have a big game just because the Chargers are such like a weird team.
Yeah.
They
They-
cursed those brothers because they actually had their grandma on a television spot in the middle of the
did they?
game. Yeah, so like they put her
I
on
missed that.
TV instead of football.
Like his brother Quinnen Williams, Quinnen, he's just got bag-itis. That's what's.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
He's
definitely.
got bag-itis.
We've
He
been
got
about it a
bag-itis.
couple times here. It's like,
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
this motherfucker.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Danny and Jordan.
Yes.
Rashad White, let's just say like that's unexpected. Like that game.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
The Houston Texans.
Houston,
Texans,
Tampa.
Tampa
It's-
game.
That's interesting too, because like you haven't been able to run on the Houston offense.
Yeah.
Like in the last couple seasons, they've been a pretty stout run defense, and Rashad White just goes in there and shits on them.
I mean,
Hello?
even then, he got like 3 yards a carry. 3.5 yards a carry, just above.
It's just the volume. He had 24.
And yeah, 20 carries and 4 receptions. With the damage is in the receptions, where he's averaging, just shy of 12. But only 2 receiving first downs, which means that they were behind the sticks a bunch. And 20 carries, 5 rushing first downs. It looks like he basically just got half of the entire offense's snaps thrown his way.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing his best Lenny Fourn's impression.
Yeah.
I really wanted to rename Baker, but I had to go with Half Baked because he lost.
Dude, I felt bad for Baker at the end because like CJ Stroud definitely deserves the accolades for this one. Like he literally set a record. Like that was a record historically. He had probably the best game of his career right there.
Oh, not probably like
that's probably
so far.
That's his ceiling. I would be surprised if he has a game that good again in his entire career. That was insane. That was insane.
Was the Rose Bowl, and that's just like not the same.
This is the NFL though, man. Like
you
don't throw 5 touchdowns in the NFL.
On Richad, this is the most touches he's had all year. And is clearly very volume dependent. When the game script goes against him, he just really shuts down. So.
Yeah, but this game wasn't a game where like the game script would have dictated that he
would have dictated that. Yeah. Well, because Houston was, near the end, the Buccaneers were ahead and trying to run out the clock, but then Houston managed to stop there and got the ball back.
Yeah.
So, there was an opportunity for advancement game script wise for White, but they just didn't convert on it in the end.
Yeah,
it's real possible football took over.
It's possible that was Rashad White's best game of the season right there. Like again, talking about ceilings, like that's his ceiling. Like that's good to see though. It's like he can get to 30 points.
Exactly.
Because like he's kind of in that RB2 tier. Like he's definitely outside the tier of running back that's like Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, CMC, those kinds of guys. He's not up there, but like that's what you want your second running back to be able to do, is to have these weeks where you get to that height. So it's good for Jordan.
He also got both of his touchdowns on the 1 yard line. So some of that's going to be like, that's just him punching it in after like someone didn't quite get in.
Like, you don't want my situation where like James Cook just gets taken out.
Yeah, it's just Josh Allen or the actual hammer comes in, because like Leonard Fournette's waiting in the wings. He's going to be doing that for them in playoff games,
Latavius Murray right now, Leonard playoff Lenny's going to take the playoff Lenny on that.
Yep.
Rip to Cam Akers' career for the second.
Yeah, to Cam Akers' career. He's done.
Like, that's
he tore his other Achilles. This wasn't the same one that was surgically repaired.
Yeah.
He's done. Like
he's done.
He had a good career. Like he was a top running back and got a ring. So
just
this isn't like,
unfortunately,
this isn't like the Nick Chubb injury though, where it's like it looked really bad and then it ended up just being some ligament damage as opposed to a dislocated knee, which would end his career. A single Achilles tear is enough to make it
stop a running back.
Yeah, like Deonta Foreman is kind of the first running back historically that has actually come back from that injury. But then we also had James Robinson. But like, look at James Robinson. He can't stay on a team. And then Cam Akers was the next example of the modern running back that can survive an Achilles injury like that.
But I don't know that we can actually. You can say that about him now.
He's most likely done.
Hit the other one,
Yep.
And like, you can't do it on 2 busted.
But we saw it with James Robinson. He was a stud, like undrafted guy, came in, was the starting running back for Jacksonville, and was a top guy in the league for a season. Yeah. And then he tore his Achilles, and then ever since then, he's just hasn't had the same juice.
Didn't he just
he's been
Packers?
He's been released. Bouncing around.
He was just released from the Packers.
He was on the Packers practice squad.
He got dropped.
Specific, and got dropped off the practice squad.
Yeah, can't even stay on a team.
The reality is, though, I think because Aaron Jones is back to being 100%.
Yeah, but also he's not. Back. But also James Robinson just isn't good at football anymore because of his injury.
Yep.
And
I
you
mean,
could
the Packers,
see when
he was there as an emergency backup to begin with.
yeah. DeForest Buckner, what a monster. Max Crosby, another
Good.
monster.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson got 12 targets. Hell yeah.
DeForest Buckner was
We'll see
another
that.
waiver wire pickup, right? Oh no,
no.
picked. He was
That
picked.
is
He was
that is
drafted.
definitely a draft. DeForest Buckner
That's
is one of the
definitely a
best
draft. Yeah,
defensive players in
he's
the
way
league.
up there.
There's
Yeah.
no way that guy's on the waiver wire. Like,
No,
I was surprised
thinking of
Darius
just-
Slay was on the waiver wire as long as he was.
I
until
know.
Trevor picked him up. It's like I couldn't manage a roster spot for him. Otherwise, I would have grabbed him. But anyway, Trevor got him.
I have too many DBs already.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have too many.
Yeah.
Fuck.
How about Keenan Allen getting over 10,000 yards in his career in
Hey,
this game?
congrats, Keenan.
That was
That's awesome.
badass. For future, maybe not Hall of Famer, but like definitely we'll get some votes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely
Keenan
get some
Allen.
votes. I would like to
he'll
see
be a
him.
Hall of Famer.
I would like to see him in the Hall of Fame. I think he
He may
deserves it.
not. He may not be a first ballot guy, but he'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
He'll
Keenan
get
Allen is
there
a legend.
on like a weak year. The thing is like all the modern era guys like who have been fantasy legends for 5-10 years are pretty much likely ins.
Yeah,
I think just because of
if
like
you get,
what
like,
craziness has
three-
been going on
I
statistically
mean, if you
within the
get
game.
3 All Pros, you're essentially like a
Yeah.
lock to eventually get in.
Yeah.
If you have more than 3, you're starting to talk about like first ballot guys.
I think that's fair.
Keenan Allen though is like the wide receiver, or even just like the football player that you want on your team as a fan, because he's loyal to
Yeah.
the team. He's stuck with them through the San Diego bullshit. He stuck with them through these awful years that they had. He stuck with them through the question marks after Phillip Rivers left the team and Justin Herbert came in, and thankfully Justin Herbert ended up hitting on that draft pick. Was a really good call.
Dude was signed up to be catching passes from Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Which, as we know,
he
this
was
year
there. He
isn't
was-
so bad, you know.
Yeah. But like Tyrod Taylor is a huge drop off from Phillip Rivers, who was actually a good quarterback. It's a shame that man never got a ring.
Or it made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Keenan Allen was never like the diva distraction on the team. He was just a soldier that went to battle for you, and
Really
hopefully he can
good.
continue to play for another 3 or 4 years here. Like it's on the cards for him to stay in the league. But he's had a long career. He's had a really long career.
And he's still good.
He's 31
And he's still good.
and showing no sign of slowing down.
And he's
He
fantasy relevant still.
he could
You know?
play for a long time.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out Jonnu Smith here because Scott got so heated, and
my
this is
fucking
where all the
God.
production went. This guy got 100 yards and a touchdown.
He got a designed screen pass that he housed because
He's fucked up.
the Vikings, like, I don't know, they couldn't see Arthur Smith's galaxy brain plan, and Jonnu Smith housed fucking screen pass. Jesus Christ. Yeah, good call, Danny. Good one. Playing fucking Jonnu Smith.
Your choice of Michael Thomas. Thank you for your service, but
Fuck.
sorry, bud.
Homie goose egged me in another league, and it definitely nearly lost me my matchup.
I just need more of these to happen so that my guy A.T. Perry can get on the field, which will never happen.
I don't know. Rashid Shaheed has kind of emerged on that team. I don't know if A.T. Perry will probably be a special teamer guy on that team.
Yeah, it's Olave is 1,
He's
Shaheed
a
is the
squad.
2, and Michael Thomas has become the 3.
And Michael
Like-
Thomas could still play for another 5 years if he wanted. Like he's got 2 years
Play
off
boy.
basically.
You know what?
So-
Here's the deal, though, is that Derek Carr doesn't fucking throw slants very well.
Derek Carr is not the answer. So
Yeah, no,
I mean,
he's
Derek
the
Carr's never
stopgap.
been the answer, though.
No,
I mean he was in 2016, but
It's been a while.
it's been a while.
yeah, that
Um,
was 7 years ago, Derek. Like,
so I don't know if you guys listen to the fantasy footballers, but the snow in Vermont theory that they have definitely
Oh, yeah,
played
for
out
sure.
here. So basically, if you're unfamiliar with that, is if it's snowing in Vermont, Derrick Henry awakens and has a monster game. And it was snowing in Vermont this weekend, and Derrick Henry had a monster game.
Is it really
He's
that
the
well
Yeti.
correlated?
They call him the Yeti. It's every single time the first snow occurs in Vermont, Derrick Henry comes out of his cave. He's the Yeti.
It's literally like
It's so
actually
funny.
like
So wild.
It's actually like accurate
It's
too. Like every
fucking
time they call it on their
Puxtafani
show, they're
Phil
like, "Oh,
ass
it's
shit.
snowing in Vermont. It snowed in Vermont. Play Derrick
Here
Henry
comes
this week."
Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Ugh.
Miles Garrett, man, I feel like every single fucking week is just like another monster game, but like, yep, impact all over the field, every single level, at the line, in the secondary. Like they could probably line up Miles Garrett on offense,
see it.
and he'd probably
You can
score a
see
couple
it
touchdowns. Like
on the scorecard here. I mean, he's got a sack, a pass defense, fumble recovery.
tackle for
No.
loss.
he's just a game
That was
wrecker.
probably the sack, but
Like on the field, like on film,
That's
and just like in the
sack
stat sheet, this dude is just fucking got giant fucking balls.
You would see the sack yards if it was different. Like,
there is sack yards.
Yeah,
but that's the thing is like the tackle for the loss. Like, you wouldn't see the sack yards because like if it was just. Like,
Well, no, a sack is a TFL. If the sack is for yardage, then it's a TFL.
Yeah. Whatever.
Jordan Whitehead is making
Yeah.
plays again. He was like one of the only good things about that shitty ass Jets game was Jordan Whitehead was making plays.
Jordan Whitehead made some pretty sweet plays.
Defensively, the Chargers were also all over the place on that game, which was cool to see. Like Khalil Mack went fucking crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
He should have more than one PD. He made a couple of those like really excellent like outreach glancing.
swim move. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Duds for Danny. Lamar didn't need to do anything. I mean, the Ravens run game put this away with basically like 4 rushes. Like, we'll get to your matchup, Steve. We'll talk about Gus Edwards, but they didn't
We'll
need to
talk
do
about
shit.
Gus.
They didn't need
Yeah.
to do shit.
Gus
Um,
and Mitchell too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Kendall
Mitchell.
Mitchell, Keenan
The
Mitchell.
Ravens running back situation is like the weirdest fucking thing. Like we can talk about it now or later.
Yeah.
But like,
Well,
I mean, might as well. I mean, so we lost.
Lamar is.
They lost their guy.
They lost J.K. Dobbins
because he can never
can't stay healthy.
can't stay healthy for more than 2 days. Apparently.
Mm-mm.
But so
Lives on
we
IR.
have Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell is an undrafted.
Undrafted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gus Edwards has like proven he's just a solid rotation
Hammer.
guy who can
He can do it.
Like
He can get the
power
job
game.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, power running.
Like
We'll be talking about Gus Edwards like we talk about Latavius Murray in like 3 years. It'll be the same
Yeah,
shit.
absolutely.
He'll be on some
Absolutely.
random fucking NFC team, and we'll be punching in balls from the 1 yard line, like 3
Probably
years
the
from now.
Rams.
Book
Watch
it.
it be the Rams.
Yeah, it'll
And
be
then-
the Rams.
Book it. It'll be the Rams.
And then Keaton Mitchell made all of the Seahawks PFF tackle grades Fs. Like
Yep. I think Kenneth Walker had a PFF run block or pass block grade of 3
Ooh.
as well.
like the Ravens are so legit. It's
Yeah.
like
They're good. They're a good team.
yeah, it's not.
I think they've pole vaulted over the Browns in terms of who has the best defense and the Niners. Like they're way ahead of every other team in the
They
league
were good
in terms
last
of
year,
like
and then they got healthier.
just watching them play. It's like looking into an engine or like a radio. It's like the like concepts that they have where they shift into what their actual coverage is. Just like it's like synchronized swimming, how seamlessly they shift their coverage right before the ball is snapped, and it's just like you're fucked as soon as you snap the ball. It's like, of course Gino had a horrible fucking game. Not only is he not that good, he just couldn't. It's like, what do you do against a team that's just like literally morphing in front of you and showing you one thing and then completely changing the entire scheme right as the ball is snapped? The
That's what you
Ravens
give
do this every
Like,
play.
this is like the reason you trade a first or whatever they got, 2 firsts.
For Roquan?
Yeah, for Roquan.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
he allows that pivot point in any point, like during the snap or post snap, for anybody to move anywhere because he can cover everything and do everything.
Yeah. They've got
Right.
that LOB shit going on with Patrick Queen and Roquan. Like, it's just like, what the fuck do you do? You can't.
And the
line is
safeties are
just
good too when
voracious.
they play, and they're
they do-
stacked
I mean,
on every level.
The other, like the thing that they do that every defense is supposed to do is they take away one thing from you and then they make you one-dimensional and kill you because of the one-dimensionality.
Yeah.
They absolutely destroyed any sort of run game the Seahawks tried to do. There was nothing at all that they were giving up. Then when they tried to pass, they could only pass, and it was just bad and ugly. And like they have a good secondary, and the linebackers are legit, and there's just like nothing.
Yeah.
And it was terrible to watch.
Whatever team, whatever offensive coordinator can find a way to dismantle the Ravens at home has a good shot to be a head coach in the NFL. That is the challenge now, is to find out how to beat the Ravens.
I mean, the Ravens are what, 7-2,
6-3.
6-3.
Who did they
They
lose
were 5-3
to?
going into that game. They had the
They
same.
lost. They lost the international game, right? Or did they win in London? I'm gonna find out.
I do not remember. Oh no, they're 7-2, right? Because they had the same record as the Seahawks. Because they had the bye, yeah.
Right.
They lost to the Steelers.
Oh, right.
They lost to
Freak game.
the Colts.
Freak game.
And
So they lost to 2 trap games.
Yeah.
Well, the Steelers are in division, so that's always weird.
And that's a
Yes.
mess. And Lamar has never won in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, Mike Tomlin and T.J. Watt, what do you?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't. Yeah. So you have Lamar Jackson, who is 18-1 against the NFC, which is a ridiculous stat.
That's crazy.
Playing the Seahawks, who play the Ravens once every 4 years, coming in like this isn't like coming in to play the Niners. Like the Seahawks know how to play against their divisional rivals. It's
Right.
It's like Joe mentioned. Like it doesn't really matter when you put the Ravens and the Steelers together because Mike Tomlin knows how to dismantle that defense.
Totally.
He's been playing against that team and knows what to
for
do.
a long time.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
But any visitor that's coming
that's-
to the Ravens, any hotshot offensive coordinator that is looking to move up in the league, like I said, just find a way to beat the Ravens in a playoff game. And there you go. You'll probably be a head coach somewhere, hopefully for the fucking Falcons. Cooper Kupp.
I before we go off of the Ravens, I'll just say I think they're the most complete team in football, regardless of record.
Yeah. I mean, that's their record is indicative of that. I mean, and the fact that when people come home to play them, they just get shellacked, like
destroyed.
We saw every team that's played them has just been ripped apart, limb from limb.
And if they have the best record in football, I think Lamar is going to get the MVP this year again.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
He's playing amazing.
Yeah,
he's playing well enough. Like I wouldn't say he's amazing. He's fumbling a lot and he's making mistakes, but it's like the defense is elevating that team, and the offense is good enough.
As much. I feel like he's not running as much, and he's in a brand new offense.
But the thing is that he still is. We saw it in the Seahawks
great.
game. He was just gashing us like every other run play. It was just like,
yeah.
I mean, 10 carries.
Our defensive line isn't a
is,
slouch either. Like it's solidified a bit against the run.
He's averaging 6 yards a carry, and like.
Yeah, no. Going into that game, we had like the third best
5 first downs rushing.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
anyway, the Ravens are fucking amazing, and they're looking like a lock to be maybe in their conference championship. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cooper Kupp got shat on by Brett Rippin' Ass. He got cut from the team today, thank God. So
Rippin' did?
Yeah.
Oh,
he got cut.
picked up.
Yeah, they picked up Carson
got
Wentz.
signed.
That's a much better depth piece than Brett Rippin-ass. So hopefully Matt Stafford can get his thumb right and play the rest of the season because
Yeah, I mean they lost to
Danny
Green Bay.
needs him. He
They
needs
only had a
Cooper Kupp.
field goal. They couldn't score a touchdown against Green fucking Bay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
you're
luck,
right.
Rams.
Yeah, thank you, Green Bay, for doing that. By the way,
Yeah,
Like,
no,
the-
that we did our part to improve
the silver
Rams
lining
roster.
for the
Yeah.
NFC West was
Yeah.
we scored 6 points as a division, or as a division, as a division this week, and everyone lost. The Niners were on bye,
Niners who were on bye.
Yeah, yeah.
so
Wow,
sick. We tied.
awesome.
It's a
Yeah,
mulligan.
nobody did great.
Yeah, everybody
Um,
failed.
Daniel Jones
Like-
tore his ACL. Did you guys see that?
Done for the season.
Yeah, done for the season. The Giants' season from hell continues, and they're looking like a lock for the Caleb Williams, Drake May, whoever we'll see in the playoffs. Sweepstakes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Giants, congratulations on your high draft picks.
Yep, your high draft picks, and
I-
maybe you'll move away from Chin Boy.
I would say, dude, I like Daniel Jones personally. Like, I feel
He's
bad
got
for
the
him.
wrong. He's got the wrong head architecture. He needs to have less chin and more forehead for the New York
He also needs to be
system.
named Manning. Like,
Yeah,
He looks an awful lot like me and Danny's buddy from high school. So I joke, it's like, oh look, it's Austin. He just has the same facial structure and shit. It just cracks me up. He also he's shown flashes of being a good quarterback. It's just that he's pretty clearly, a low end QB1. In terms of fantasy nomenclature, it's like he's bottom 20. He's outside the top 10 for sure, but he's not dog shit. He's a little bit more than a game manager, I would argue.
Danny Dimes is currently number 32.
Well, he's also doesn't have an ACL or an offensive line and barely any weapons. He has Saquon Barkley, and that's all. So, the Giants have a lot of work to do, and they'll probably will end up drafting his replacement, and he will probably get cut and end up on the Browns. So,
I mean, he's
next year because his
that's
deal-
where all ACL people go to die.
New York doesn't give a shit.
New York doesn't.
They'll
give
do
a
what
shit.
they need to do. They care more. Sorry, I was talking over you. What'd you say?
Oh, Danny Dimes is going to be on the Giants next year because his deal just started and the cap hit's going to be too big. So he's going to have to stick around for a year.
Oh,
after they
right.
draft a replacement.
New York doesn't give a fuck though. They care more about the media than they do about cap space and winning games. So
You know what? That might not be a bad gig too. Is just to learn the offense and develop for a year for whatever rookie they eventually draft.
Daniel Jones would fucking hate that though. I'm sure.
Oh, he'd not be happy about it,
Yeah.
but
It'd be a
that's
nightmare.
the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last kind of shit on a stick for this matchup here was Minshew just wasn't needed since Bryce Young was doing all the work for him. And Gabe Davis had a goose egg had you not played in an IDP league like us because he did get a single tackle on a turnover. So
Oh, that's hilarious.
Gabe Davis sucked ass in a
One
game
solo
where
tackle,
Josh Allen went I don't know.
ballistic.
He had such a dog. That game sucked. That was so disappointing.
He went.
The DeMar Hamlin comeback game where it was like DeMar Hamlin's in the house and that we're gonna figure out who
But he's
actually
not
was gonna
playing.
win that. He's not playing. We're actually gonna figure out who would have won that game.
No, we're not.
Did you guys see? And the Bengals fans perfectly executed their jungle shit where they have all the fans wearing the different jerseys at each section, so it looks like a tiger stripe in the stadium. They were doing all the flyovers and that game was so good, but it was ass.
The Bengals have some of the best fan relations, PR, and branding in the entire league.
Yeah.
Straight up, their uniforms look
It's
so
what
tight all
it's
the
what
time.
the Browns wish
They're
they were.
so good. They're so good. I props to the graphic designers on the Bengals organization. They're
It's like the
killing it.
opposite of that meme of the guy outside the Brown Stadium. It's like, this is a factory of sadness. It's
I mean, the Bengals ownership actually gives way too much of a fuck.
That's awesome. It makes for good
Mhm.
football.
It's
the reason
good.
that They
Good
I'm
for
here
the
for
league.
it, man.
and they only sold the naming rights to their stadium so that they could pay Joe Burrow. Like that's an actual thing.
Yeah.
Like they had never like gotten a sponsor for their stadium, and then they needed to pay Joe Burrow, and we're like, oh, I guess we got to
Fine.
do that now.
Yeah. It's worth it for the franchise.
They're also kind of the shining beacon of light in the like horrible landscape of awful quarterback play, where it's like you have a good offensive line, a good quarterback, and
great
talented wide receivers. They just need to find the heir apparent to Joe Mixon, and they're right back in it, in my opinion. Like their defense is good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is like
line.
Yeah.
They need to like upgrade like a center or a guard or something. Like
they've definitely regressed with their line, but like the last 3 years, that line has been top 5. So
honestly,
it's regressed a bit this year, but that's all part of that also has to do with Joe Burrow being hurt.
The Bengals need to trade the Packers a third for AJ Dillon, or like a conditional 5th or some bullshit like that.
No, they shouldn't.
They should draft a running back in the 3rd round or something, and then just
yeah. There's a bunch of running backs every year in the 3rd that you can get that are perfectly good,
serviceable. Yeah, that's true.
Like look at Devon Achane.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Let's talk about your game.
Yeah, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this game.
All right. So you got Steve here playing Kelsey. Kelsey just had another dud of a game.
She had to play McCorkle Jones.
She played McCorkle Jones. Like
Kelsey's having Bymageddon as well.
She had Bymageddon. She was also kind of quietly struggling with the quarterback thing, just like Trevor was this week. She picked up a quarterback kind of at the deadline there. Not much she can do with Mac Jones. The waiver wire was super thin this week. Speaking of which, I might as well take this
Trevor's in my shenanigans.
Well, no, not even that. The QBs that were unavailable this week or were on bye were Aaron Rodgers, and this is due to injuries and buys, I should say. You had Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Ryan Tannehill, Kyler, Stafford, Watson, Jones, Tyrod, and then the bye quarterbacks, Purdy, Goff, Lawrence, and Wilson. That is so many quarterbacks, like good quarterbacks that, like, for real football are not available.
I will say this though,
that's insane.
Watson did play, and like, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Also, I think we had a stat that I saw where 9 rookie quarterbacks have started this season, which is
it's the most of any NFL season.
Which ties the record, and we're halfway through. That's so nine rookie quarterbacks have started over the course of a whole season, and that is the record. We've tied it.
Didn't we break it with Clayton Tune this last weekend?
No. The Clayton Tune start brought it to 9. Yeah,
made it 9.
So if we have one more rookie quarterback that starts this season, we'll have broke the record. But that's probably going to happen. That's probably going to happen.
I feel like we had a 10th this week. Maybe
no, it's been 9.
No, you're right.
It's been 9. But yeah, horrible quarterback play. The injuries and then this week with the buys on top of the injuries, it was terrible. Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, he had a better fantasy game than he did a real life football game. That game was horrible. Unless you were a Stephon Diggs fantasy owner and that's all you were watching it for. This game was unwatchable. T. Higgins actually
had a game.
Really good. Looked really good.
It finally happened.
Catching everything that came his way.
The Jamar Chase is getting doubled, so T. Higgins is getting all of the love gain.
Well, he's also winning his contested catches, which is what he's known for. Like he's big. He's a big-bodied wide receiver who wins at the point of contact, and that's his bread and butter.
He's healed up from the rib injuries, some that he suffered early on too.
Yeah,
so
or the shot they gave him was working.
Yeah, whatever combination of time and go juice has healed the wounds. It certainly worked.
Receivers that exist on the contested catch are always streaky. Like that's kind of the definition of those players, though.
It's true. It's definitely true. He was feeling it today or last Sunday.
I mean, T. Higgins is also a good route runner. I mean, let's not.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
He could be
He's a good wide
power
receiver.
runner on most
He's
other
okay.
teams.
You're talking about Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is the prototypical contested catch guy.
Streaky
And
as hell.
He was really consistent because he had Mitch Trubisky, who did not give a fuck about throwing him the ball. As soon as they got a quarterback
Didn't give a shit about
that,
interceptions. Yeah.
that kind of hesitated to throw his guys open, he disappeared. And you saw him try and hack it on multiple teams. Like when he was with the Rams, it was like Matthew Stafford is a technician as a quarterback. He wants the guys to get. Well, that's why he loves Cooper Kupp. Is because Cooper Kupp gets open on
and
every
Nakua
play.
too, because he can they got all of the movement skills to like make those openings.
Open and they don't do the contested catches, which is like
Yeah, it's like you're not. Matthew Stafford isn't looking for that Julio Jones type player. He's looking for, or the DeAndre Hopkins type player. He's looking for the guy who gets NFL open on every play, and he doesn't have to do the extra work to throw him open.
Cooper Kupp, like pre-injury Michael Thompson.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Brees
Hunter
Hall.
Henry showed up again. Brees Hall had
He did his best.
Game.
He did his best.
The Chargers have a pretty good defense. They're pretty good up front, and the Jets were getting slammed.
Yes.
Yeah.
As they tend to do. That offense is putrid. Garrett Wilson was upset after the game, saying that the offense needs to be better.
Understandably so.
And I agree,
Yeah.
because Garrett Wilson looked great. It was Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, the guys you would expect to be really good on this team. And you just have Zach Wilson out there. He just has zero awareness of the pass rush. He's just like doesn't anticipate anything. It's just like he looks like a cartoon character out there. As soon as the ball is snapped to him, he's just like he sees ghosts and then he's just like, oh, and he like does that thing where it's like a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. He just like looks. He looks straight at the camera. And is like, "Oh, it's happened again," and then he gets sacked. And it's like, oh, Zach Wilson's terrible. And then Robert Saleh come out and said, it certainly wasn't the worst game that Zach Wilson has played. What a glowing indictment of your quarterback.
You could have just gotten like Josh Dobbs.
I mean, I really am now envisioning Zach Wilson having run out onto the edge of a cliff and it's crumbling below him. And he's suspended there for a few seconds before falling. And but the cliff is labeled his O-line.
Yeah.
Okay,
Micah Parsons also had a good game. You really didn't have any duds this week, Steve. Like your team finally did what you drafted them to do, and that's score a bunch of points.
Rolls-Royce and Green Bay's best wide receiver didn't do anything, and Romeo kind of let me down. But what am I gonna do?
I mean,
it was
think
an Aaron
about it
Jones
this way:
game.
the amount of points that you got from those guys was kind of what you expected.
Yes,
like, that's not a dud.
Yes.
You got the points
it's
that you
low
expected.
Floor. It's exactly.
It's like of course you would hope Romeo Dobbs or Jalen Reed. Yeah, of course you would want Reed or Dobbs to get a little bit more there and push them more towards 10 points, but like we know what the Green Bay offense is at this point. You can't really expect the Devontae Adams 40-point weeks from this offense. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. The
maybe
the real like letdown for me fantasy wise, I'd say, is Rashawn Gary not delivering really at all. Just getting the solid little 4, 2 QB hits, no sacks.
I mean, that again, floor game.
Floor game.
Yep.
What are you gonna do? Anyway, the Juice Man did
honestly,
juice. The Petri dish grew culture.
Honestly,
Hendricks did fine.
The reason that Kelsey lost this game is that she just had floor performances from every single player that she played in her roster. Not a single guy had a game
except for Herb Smith, who had the best game of his season so far.
I mean, yeah, but like that's a tight end,
that's
like
a tight end
super
getting random streakiness.
A tight end getting a random touchdown, like that's the best you can hope for
else.
at the tight end position. But like everything, like Jamar Chase was super pedestrian in this game. That was really the only bummer. But like Aaron Donald, I guess, he got a sack. That's cool.
He got
D
one
Hop
sack, yeah.
had a floor game. Like D Hop is the first read in that offense. He already has chemistry with Will Levis and was getting hyper targeted. And Treylon Burks knocked his ass out because he's a dummy. And then Miles Sanders showed some life in the receiving game. But other than
I'd argue that
that's
D-Hop had an average game.
I mean, yeah, he had a floor game. Like
Just
that's
standard game,
that's
yeah.
what 10 points from D Hop is a floor game because like he has a ceiling of going off for 40
About for 30, yeah.
or
yeah.
more. Like he's that guy.
At least that's his floor now. I mean, like with Tannehill, his floor was like
Oh, it was in the basement with Tannehill
Yeah.
because Tannehill was out there looking like 40-year-old Matt Ryan.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not good.
Then you had Devin Singletary out there is doing his best.
Single
In a-
carry. I'm
in
glad
a-
that's sticking.
But yeah, I mean, Kelsey's fallen to 3-6 here, and she's either gonna have to make a trade to push for that 6th spot and take it out of Joe's cold dead hands, the way it looks now, or
Well,
look to the future. Like this was a must-win week for her, and she lost. So
When it
Yeah.
comes to the points for race, Kelsey and I were neck and neck before this matchup. So she just went 40 behind me. And we were both a good, 150 plus behind Joe. And that gap has just widened
yeah,
with Joe's
Dude,
result.
looking at
So
my point score is so depressing because I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
you're
above-
You're having a great season, Joe.
I'm like,
You're just getting
I'm
shit
above-
on.
dude, it's so sad.
yeah. I mean,
You were
I'm
just like, just yeah.
Let's talk about your matchup.
Yeah,
we'll
let's
do
talk about
Trevor's
this real
last
quick.
because that game.
that's the
is
well,
the-
we don't know. We
he's
really
not-
don't
he's-
know.
Trevor's in
We
the
don't know.
shadow realm right now because of
Yeah,
that game.
dude.
So we'll save him for
Second
last.
fucking
Stat correction.
correction game in a row. That sucks.
It really
That
fucking
sucks.
It really
Like-
fucking sucks.
Come on.
Yeah,
Hit
Joe.
and refresh on the fucking shitty sleeper UI all the time, just hoping and praying that you get the W.
And then
out
it
of this, like-
crashes.
and it crashes.
Well, as the theme is with this week, the quarterback play was absolutely horrendous.
Yep.
I mean,
On both sides.
on
Oh,
both
God.
sides. Justin Herbert.
I mean,
Look
look
at
at
that.
this. Going into the
That's
season, you're like
fuck.
Justin Herbert and Geno Smith. Geno Smith, the comeback player of the year, and then Justin Herbert with that supercharged
Geno
offense,
Smith,
and then they get
Fantasy QB number 5 last year. Like,
and he gets shit on, and Justin Herbert does nothing because the defense helped him out, or it was a special teams touchdown.
Special teams punt return.
Yep. Whenever that happens,
yeah.
instantly it's awful for the offense because it's like you can tell, like as soon as the offense gets out there, they shift a gear down, they run the ball a little bit more, they're just a little bit less is on the
actually,
line.
Though, that helps Trevor. Because going into the Monday night game, he was something like 25 points down and
I mean-
had only Eckler yet to play.
I mean, Eckler went off.
We'll
he
talk
did go
about
off. We'll get
Trevor's
there.
game when we get there. We'll get
But-
there.
but
We'll get
anyway,
there.
It's Herbert's low score is related to Trevor's
Yes. That is
return
there is
to
a
viability
correlation there
here.
between
Yeah.
Justin Herbert and his score and what
Mhm.
happened in Trevor's game. But
But I do want to say this. I absolutely hate the Bills. Like, they suck so much.
yeah.
It's such a
especially in
weird
the running
team.
back department.
It's like
they're like
why-
the Dolphins. It's like they're so hot and cold. Like they come in and they just wreck you, or
Yeah.
they're just like super wonky and just don't look functional.
It's the Favre Nation.
And it's like
And it's
50-50
just
on if they win those games, you know?
I mean, it's just part of like they don't have a functional run game at all. Like, I don't know why. I don't like it's just weird for a team that like has kept saying they want to have a run game. They just don't know how to
They
run one.
clearly don't.
Yeah.
They want their run game to be Josh Allen.
Yeah.
All right. What is this, Scott?
So Joe wanted me to bring this one up. I actually had this already prepared, but this was Amari. I don't know if everyone saw this or not, but this was so fucking dumb. Deshaun Watson is trash. But watch this. This was Amari Cooper's touchdown.
I did see that.
Just as they
God.
planned it. That is exactly how they scripted that, guys.
Well,
Just chunk it right into the defensive lineman's
Tell
helmet.
that Amari Cooper has to do some like
What the
save
fuck is
Deshaun
that,
Watson's
dude?
ass for the touchdown.
Like,
he just threw it right at the dude's face.
Yeah, he just like yeah.
he just doinked it like right off
He,
of his helmet.
Doinked right off of his
Like, right in
helmet.
front of him, just like
And
dirt.
just like, it just popped right over. That's
It was
amazing.
basically a scramble drill.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And like, it's not like Amari didn't have like a good game outside of that, you know? Like,
Yeah, he was targeted a lot.
He had,
Yeah,
well,
right. Well, he
like,
had
a
four-
good game, like
4
for
other
what?
targets.
But yeah, no, Amari had a great game. AJ
Mangers.
Brown came back to earth. Like,
Yeah, AJ Brown. It's like, what can you say? Like he's like
Floor game.
the wide receiver one, like of the year, next to Tyreek Hill.
yeah, I think Tyree technically
Him
is,
and AJ are fighting for it.
yeah.
They're like neck
For
and
sure.
neck. Tyreek's bad day in London.
I saw
has
him on
helped AJ.
on Twitter. He made a funny remark about how someone in his family, I think his like nephew or brother, like some kid in his family, was saying that he was talking about how Justin Jefferson is his favorite player, and he's like, yeah, he ain't getting anything for Christmas.
It's more like
not from Uncle AJ.
what's Harry's handle?
He's like, Jay Jettis, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no kidding. Like your uncle AJ Brown,
think-
not your favorite NFL
I think
player?
it's really endearing. Like he wears those bright ass cleats because he wants his daughter to be able to see him on TV, because she can't. It's hard for his like 4-year-old daughter or whatever to see what's going on. So when she sees like the guy in the bright pink or yellow shoes or whatever, she knows that's dad. I think that's really
That's
really
cute.
cute. It's cute.
Yeah.
But then he got like fined for wearing them or some shit, and you're like, fuck you.
Yeah,
NFL
pay
is
the
super
fine,
dumb
I'm
about
done.
that, yeah, they're very archaic.
Uniform codes.
Hey, your Aaron Jones trade worked.
Yeah, it finally
It
worked.
did. It paid off.
He just needed to go get a bag on Joe's team. And he was like, finally, get me off of that shitty Packers team that Steve has. and then he turned up.
Ever
Let's
since I
go.
changed my my logo to the Packers tank,
That's good.
I've
I
been
like
rolling
that.
over people.
You and
the
Ben
cheese
with that.
tank rolls.
You and Ben with the little Green Bay mushroom shit was just too difficult. It was like, who am I
Yeah.
talking to? Who the fuck?
Yeah,
is
no,
this?
I swapped over to the cheese tank.
The
for-
cheese tank is strong. I'm a
Yeah.
fan. You're not even tanking anymore, Steve.
No,
Like,
I
you're
know.
making a
Yeah,
push
we-
now.
I gotta-
so
This is like a big game next week for our matchup.
It is actually, yeah. It's a really big game.
Yeah. Mark
Uh,
4-6 versus 5-5 for one of us.
hey, they're
One of us is gonna be 500.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott. George Pickens died for my game this week.
No, it's fine. I can't even be mad because my team was so fucking dog shit. Like I saw that happen with the George Pickens thing, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna lose this week." I wanted to do the Trevor GG in chat, like the troll GG, but like I think Josh just did it. Like it's like TJ Watt got a sack and he was just like, "GG, Trevor, GG, it's over." He wrecked me. He got a sack. It's over. But I was just like, oh, it's gonna be one of those weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was. But yeah, man, I'm happy. Deontay's first touchdown since Big Ben threw him a touchdown in 2021.
Which is crazy. That
Yeah.
With how good he is, it's like,
throw him a
how?
touchdown.
I know.
His entire
That's
career.
insane.
Literally his entire career. It's like, what the
Ugh.
fuck, man?
Yeah.
Especially since he's the number one option in that like offense. I know the offense is like bad, but like
Oh, it's Matt Canada's problem. Like again, if you look at
Yeah.
the heat maps of where all the fucking offensive targets are going, there was one target over the middle of the field. There's one, and it was a drop, and then everything else is at the perimeter outside the numbers. Every single play, they do this dumbass throw it at the fucking outside the numbers at the line, get 2 yards, convert the first down on a run play, screen pass to Jalen Warden, fucking Najee Harris run up the gut. Ugh! Dude, it's so
Najee
fucking
Harris,
painful to watch.
it averages like 2 yards a carry. It's like not. It's
Their
like,
ADOT, their average depth of target is like a yard or so. It's like insane.
Ugh.
I'm not a
Well,
huge stat
okay.
guy in terms of that stuff, like the
Hold on.
advanced stats.
I need to know. I
but-
gotta know what the.
It's so bad. Matt Canada needs to be fired as badly as Arthur Smith needs to be fired. Like
Yeah, no, that's facts.
they,
Yeah.
I don't know how Tomlin can deal with that. He brought him down from the booth. He'd never done a game on the sideline before, and Tomlin brought him. It was like it's like the parent being like, "All right, come here. I'm gonna show you something.
Yeah.
Come to the sideline. What?
Come
I
on
want to
down.
be able. I want to be able to keep my eye on you."
Yeah.
Matt.
The craziest thing about the Steelers is they're 5-3 right now, and in every game they've won,
what
they've
the
been
fuck?
outgamed by their opponent.
Yeah, their offense is anemic as fuck. It's just that their defense is so good that
Yeah,
they get in these situations where they don't need to do much on offense to win, and it's like because it's working, it's giving Matt Canada a leash, and it's like people who enjoy fantasy aren't just bitching for no reason about
just
these players not doing anything. It's just like the Arthur Smith shit. It's like, do something on offense, please. That's like, you need to play offense to win these games, and their scheme is so archaic. It's not like they're doing a conservative play style and working with tools that are not good at foot. It's not like the Panthers situation. They have really good players on that offense, and they don't use them the way that they should. It's like, as a casual fan, you can look at the game and be like, this is boring. They just go 3 and out half the time, and then they win the game at the end of the fucking fourth quarter on a single drive. And Kenny Pickett's just throwing picks. It's like, I can't tell if Kenny Pickett's bad or not because the system's so fucking dog shit.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it's not good. I will say this as like kind of a final thing. My defense did pretty well. Like Kyle Duggar.
Yes, they did. Kyle Duggar was a stud. Trent McDuffie and then Mafe. Mafe was the only good thing about that Seahawks game.
He finally has had enough good games where like the like sleeper algorithm finally gives him projected points instead of 0. So good for him.
Yeah, thanks, sleeper.
Good work.
God damn it. It's like, it's so funny whenever I would put him in and you get 0 points and be like, all right, so how much of a percentage does that lower my like thing?
Fuck that
like,
shit, man. I'm glad
so
that you don't pay attention to that. It's
Just
stupid.
so stupid. Those projections are so trash.
Yep.
They're really bad. They continue to be really bad.
The only real duds you had was like James Cooked, and Pacheco didn't do nothing, and he was probably just jet lagged.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like I had other options because of like bye weeks.
Yep.
I'm gonna like the bye week this week is bad for me because AJ Brown is out. So good for you, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could sneak this one through this week, Steve.
Yeah, I sure can.
All right,
Which is like a problem because AJ Brown is like my entire team.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's how I feel about Justin Jefferson, and I haven't had him for 4 fucking weeks, and probably won't have him for 8. So
that sucks. Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
So I've been aggressively trading for wide receivers and giving away draft picks and defensive players to try and get fucking offense. And then Traylon Burks goes and dummies himself.
Dude,
let's talk about Matt's team. Cole Kmet was eating because of Bilbo Baggett, and
Dude, I like Secret Agent Man better.
I think
I like
Secret
Bilbo.
Agent Man is really good.
I like
Bilbo
Bilbo.
Agent is fine
because
but
he's Bilbo. He's not a secret. He's not good. He's Bilbo. So fuck that.
he was the Secret Agent Man the first game
Secret
because
Agent
nobody
Man
had
when they
tape.
win.
Now he's just Bilbo Agent.
Yeah. But yeah, no, CeeDee Lamb again. I think he's like RW1 on the week, like again.
Yeah, even with
Like-
that bad fumble, he still had a monster game.
Yeah, he did.
And even though they lost, Dak was actually dealing in this game.
Yeah.
He actually had a good game. Dak looked fine.
Always like, as long as Dak isn't like, just being terrible, like that is a perfectly like NFC title game team.
Yeah, I mean,
Perfectly choice to think they might make it.
if Dak was on any other team than maybe the Giants or the Jets or anywhere with like a voracious news media, maybe LA, he would be a heralded quarterback that everyone loves because he's a really humble dude. He's a team first guy. He does what needs to be done. He doesn't bitch and moan and cause all these problems in the media and everything.
You never hear about him.
You never hear about him. The only thing you hear about him is like when he loses.
Yeah.
And does something dumb like the playoff game that he lost because he lost track of the clock and then just the game expired on him. Like that was the worst thing he's ever done.
So, you know, like it happens.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, I mean, for the Dallas Cowboys quarterback to not be in the media is truly impressive because like they are like, I don't know, I think they're worth like $8 billion, $9 billion.
The highest value
like
team.
It's America's team, remember?
Yeah.
It's like to draw an analogy, it's like the Maple Leafs in hockey. It's like that. The Maple Leafs is Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same thing. Like they joke that the Maple Leafs are the Cowboys of hockey, and it's like it is what it is. It's the most popular team. It has the most brand recognition out of every team, aside from maybe the Patriots, just because of Tom Brady. And that's a recent thing, but like historically,
no, but that's like because of the historic run they had too.
Yeah, but like historically, just when you think football, if you've never watched a down of football in your life, you probably know who the Cowboys are, you know?
Right, the Dallas Cowboys you may have heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say though that Jonathan Taylor's back.
Like, he is back. Zach Moss turned into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yep.
The clock struck 12, and he is a pumpkin now.
Tremaine Edmonds, still good at linebacker, turns out.
Yep.
Yep.
I kind of see, honestly, what, like, I know everybody gave the Chicago Bears, like, a bunch of shit for trading for Montez, but it's like they have their linebacker, they have Yannick Ngakoue and Montez Sweat. Like,
I like that trade. They already signed him, or they extended him, or whatever.
Yeah,
they already gave him a bag, so, like, they paid basically a first-round pick, because that pick is going to be, like, 34th overall or something.
In the top 40 for sure.
Yeah. And they basically just skipped free agency, and people give them shit. It's like, why would you pay a second round, basically a first round pick to skip free agency? And it's like, you're not finding a defensive end like that in the
Especially
draft.
In this draft, because there's no guy.
Not a player that's going to have impact like now,
well,
you know?
Well, it's like, no, there's not even a guy this year that's like, you know, in the same conversation that like Will Anderson was, where like
right.
Will Anderson came out and like
generational talent, like could be first overall,
like be the first like defensive end, like outside linebacker off the board. There was people talking about like if he was draft eligible the year previous, he would have been taken over like Aiden Hutchinson. Like there's no doubt this year.
No doubt.
Like, yeah.
But even then, like, even if there is a guy that looks really good, it's like, it's still such a crapshoot. Like, defensive end is up there with quarterback in terms of, like, how important it is to get a piece that is solid.
I mean, it's the third.
It makes your defense.
The draft.
Because if you can't block the run, like, you're fucked.
Well, it's the third one. It's like, you know, it's quarterback, tackle, defensive end. Those are the three big positions.
Yeah.
And then after that, maybe it's corner. And then, like, unless there's like a Jamar Chase kind of like receiver type, you know, maybe one of that.
I mean, we are starting to see a shift where, even just with the guys that you see drafted, it's like wide receivers are creeping up because of the rule changes. It's becoming a premium position. It used to be you could just like hack it with a third round wide receiver and he'll be your number one guy for 8 years. But now we're seeing with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown and those types that it's becoming more important to draft a wide receiver earlier. But yeah, your point stands. It's still true. Those positions are absolutely the most important. And I really don't have a problem with the Bears paying a premium to get their guy at defensive end, because like there's so many teams that would love to have a defensive end. Not everyone's the Browns with Myles Garrett over there. You know,
and I don't think it was an overpay at all. I mean, like,
well, people were saying it was, which I took an issue with because I was like,
and they paid him less than $100 million for like a player of his caliber, like you're not paying him Nick Bosa money. Like that's a really good deal.
Yeah,
They can build around that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
like I always find it funny. Like this has happened ever
Homie
since
was just happy to get out of Washington.
that too. But this has happened ever since Clutch came into like the NFL like market. Like every single one of the Clutch clients, like whenever they get traded, they put out a statement and say something like, "Oh, I'm gonna test. I'm gonna like," because it's always get traded after like around when they're gonna be a free agent. It's like, "Oh, I'm gonna test and see what's out there," and that puts pressure on a team because none of these teams have ever understood like, the idea that a player might not just want to take the bag, and so like, people are always freaking out about like, "Oh, look, they didn't sign him to like." Trade him to a deal already. It's like, no, they've offered it to him. They're just trying to raise the price because that's how Clutch works. This is how LeBron's making money. This is how Draymond Green has made his money. This is how all these NBA players have made like shitloads of fucking money when they get traded. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's about all we can say about your matchup. It was really close. I mean, I'm sure Matt would have loved to have a dub here, but I think he's clearly starting to look to the future here. I think he's hoping and praying that maybe he can sneak into the playoffs at the end here, but this loss really hurts. But for the same amount of like, this game mattered as much to him as it does to you. Like you needed this win. So
Yeah. And,
if you end up not having to fight for the 6th seed in the playoffs, which it's looking like there's gonna be a lot of teams fighting over it the way it looks right now.
Yeah.
You'll be sitting pretty because you have a solid team and have been trading pieces to get guys to win now. So, we'll see how it works for you.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't know, man. I like a couple weeks ago, I thought like my Pacheco James Cook duo was gonna give me a decent floor every week, and that's just totally come out from under me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to known.
Let's talk about the Correction Bowl 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Fuck, dude, this sucks so bad.
Yeah, I mean,
well, look,
Trevor was busy, couldn't make it here. I wish that we could get his thoughts on it, but I am sure that looking at this at the end of Monday was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Because he just went through this last week with Joe.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I don't know how much he was looking at it on Sunday too, but like he was not gonna win.
I mean, he woke up and said like, "Oh look, Travis Kelsey's got me 3 points. Fuck all this noise."
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I feel
and then
that
bailed.
because he got
totally.
fucking like. He had multiple players.
Game.
He had multiple players in that game that just did fucking nothing. Like Travis Kelsey had his worst game in probably years, right? Like when was the last time he had 3 points? Let's see here. 2022. He had 6 last year, and that was his worst game.
Okay,
but other than that,
double is a 5.
He had a 2. The last time he had last time he had a bad game was in 2021, worse than this one
against the Giants. Okay.
Yeah.
But other than that, Travis Kelsey does not score 3 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
his floor was like 5 basically at the very worst.
Look at this.
Yeah. No.
Like that is okay. This is his worst game of his career right here.
The one target.
He probably got injured. He probably got injured in this game.
Yeah. He played 100%.
No, he did play 100% of the snaps.
After getting hurt, like he probably hurt his thumb.
And then was a decoy for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
So it's like
This is going back to the early days of my fantasy career because I really haven't played it that long, but I remember this season, But yeah. Anyway, Travis Kelsey had a nightmare game. Let's see,
Chandler
and then he
also had a nightmare.
He had Chris Jones who was probably just tired because this game is in fucking Germany and they flew all the way from Kansas City.
Fucking ridiculous.
To Germany to play a football game. Like you could tell that the Chiefs offense was just off and they won, but it wasn't like a heroic effort here.
Yeah.
Like the Dolphins looked poor. They They literally looked tired, like they were waking up. And then Tua came on the end of the second half, and managed to do something. But at that point, it was like the game was out of hand, pretty much.
Yep.
And like Chris Jones was just sluggish. He just wasn't like he was absorbing blocks, basically. You know.
I mean, you can see it in like the Pacheco carries. He had 17 carries, got like less than 80 yards. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that Alvin Kamara got vultured by Taysom Hill multiple times. Well, not multiple because he threw a passing touchdown, I think, but he definitely was eating into his production there.
Taysom Hill is football man. He just plays
football man does football.
Yeah. Thielen, DK, Kelsey, Godwin, Kamara, and Chris Jones pretty much dudded for him.
Yeah, all fucked up.
But the reason why this wasn't completely out of hand is because, I mean, Josh didn't have a necessarily amazing week either. He had he slotted in Tyson. He slotted in Tyson Bagent at the very like on Saturday. I think he had somebody go.
Yeah,
it was a Chiefs. I think it was a Chiefs player that he has on his IDP roster that went on, or he went not on IR. He was just ruled out. So he put in Tyson Bagent after trading for Purdy, and he picked up Josh Dobbs, who wasn't slated to play this week. And I'll talk about him in a sec. He had Eckler, who salvaged his day with that fumble recovery, which was called out at the 1, which was so fortuitous that basically put this game in this situation where it's within stat correction territory to begin with. Because other than that, Eckler didn't need to do a whole lot to win this game because the Jets are dog shit.
It was Ernest Jones who got ruled out on Saturday.
Yeah.
On the Rams.
Joe Mixon got one.
Joe Mixon got one.
Might get one, got one.
TJ Watt had that insane no helmet sack. Like his
That was
helmet
so
got ripped
fucking
off, and then he sacked the guy. I was like,
He should not have done that.
I mean, Jay, like when you see it live and you're watching it because like you're a fantasy degenerate or you have nothing better to do on a Thursday, and you see that you're like, oh, you're kind of a madman. All right, fine.
Yeah. He was fucking he was psycho mode after that
You're
sack.
a bit of a madman. Yeah.
He looked like a fucking
he was insane.
He
looked like Nick
crazy.
Bosa. Nick Bosa looks juiced up too.
He was possessed. Possessed by the spirit of the sack.
Yeah. Both his defense off too.
Oh yeah, Richie Grant and Darius Slay had a game. And then honorable mention, Khalil Mack was eating Zach Wilson alive, and then Demario Davis was kicking it into next gear. So like
honorable mention, Khalil Mack going off on Trevor's bench again. Yet again.
You got Josh Dobbs too.
Man, so he picked up
Josh Dobbs.
All right, so this is I wanted to talk about Josh Dobbs.
Dude,
Josh Dobbs is my hero. He came in, he killed the bad man Arthur Smith. Like, I love the Falcons, but like Arthur Smith needs to go, and Falcons winning football games keeps Arthur Smith around, and I fucking hate that guy. So what happened was they had their starter Justin, what was his name? Jaron Hall. Jaron Hall was the prepared starter for this game. Goes out with a concussion in like the first quarter or something. So Josh Dobbs, who hasn't taken a single rep with the offense in practice, didn't have a single handoff from the center, has not played a single snap, not a single rep, hasn't even gotten the center yet to hand him the ball.
Emergency backup quarterback.
Had never thrown passes to anyone, didn't even know most of their names. And when it was time for Josh Dobbs to come into the game, the Vikings offense huddled on the sideline, and they went through their first 5 primary cadences. And it was the first time that he'd gone through that plan with the rest of the offense. Then he said after the game that the Vikings head coach, Kevin O'Connell, was essentially translating the calls and then mapping out the plays mid-huddle as the play clock was ticking down during the game.
That's impressive.
Kevin O'Connell said after the game that he called Dobbs' ability to handle that and to be able to manage the game and do what he did one of the most impressive things he'd ever seen in his career. And Kevin O'Connell is not. He's not
been around.
new.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No kidding. No, Dobby is.
That is that. What Josh Dobbs did on Sunday was fucking
impressive.
sick.
It's so
yeah,
impressive.
that's crazy.
Yeah. The other thing too is that it was in a win. Like that's the thing is like it all resulted in a
He
win.
beat Mastermind
away.
Arthur Smith. Yeah. The galaxy brain. I know better than you. It's just toxic groupthink. Bijan Robinson really creates space off the ball to make things happen.
And a man
Jonnu Smith to the tight end 3 fucking screen pass play. Arthur Smith, put him in the dirt.
Josh Dobbs has now played in the last like 365 days for the Browns, the Cardinals, and now the Vikings.
Yeah.
Like,
see, I thought last year it was impressive when Baker Mayfield came in last minute to play quarterback for the Rams and ended up winning. Like he came in on like Wednesday and then played Sunday as the starter and won, but he got the playbook. Like I thought that was impressive as hell. Yeah. But what Josh Dobbs did, I don't think we'll ever see that again. Not as long as I'm alive, at least. Like,
well,
what the hell?
Does Stefanski run a Shanahan type offense?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know. Like this is what we need Trevor for. He would know, but
yeah. Well, because if he's running the similar type of offense, then that O'Connell's running, because O'Connell came from the Rams, right? Kevin O'Connell. Is that right?
He's from the McVay.
Yeah, the McVay tree. Yeah.
Well, no, like, he was just on the Cardinals, and so he was playing all this year, for the old Eagles OC guy. Oh no, that's the Colts. Gannon, so the defensive guy from the Eagles. Yeah. So I don't know.
Stefanski was the Vikings offensive coordinator before he took the position as head coach of the Browns in 2020. So I wonder if there's like a lot of similar terminology between those two systems, and that helped Dobbs out. Maybe, but not to diminish from his.
Regardless, it's fucking crazy what he did.
Like that's awesome and crazy, but yeah, super cool. Way to go, Dobby. Yeah. That's a hell of an accomplishment, and good work.
Please throw the ball to Justin Jefferson a lot. That's all I ask. So yeah,
once he comes back.
So
in 4 more weeks.
Yeah, fucking A. So that was Trevor's week. Josh,
had a bad Pat Mahomes game for Pat Mahomes.
Bad Pat. I mean, again, it's that fucking Germany game, dude. The John Denver and all the fucking stupid shit that they're doing in Germany.
One last thing on Josh Dobbs. One of the best comparisons I've ever heard about what he's had to do this year is from the Ringers podcast, their fantasy football one. They call him the Quantum Leap man, because Quantum Leap is like they randomly drop some dude into somebody else and he has to learn about their life and learn about whatever. And like that's exactly what Josh Dobbs said.
No, Josh Dobbs definitely just quantum leaped into being a Viking.
Yeah,
like
he just straight up quantum leap.
So
yeah,
it's like Kirk Cousins. But like you look at his stats and it's just like he's done nothing. He's been in the league for a long time, but like he has done nothing. And he's just like Geno Smithing it this year. It's like incredible. Yeah. Anyway, Josh Dobbs is a stud. Yeah.
Great
so
fantasy floor. Rushing.
So Josh, Ramondre Steve Suxenson did something. He I thought he got that breakaway touchdown. I thought it was a lineman. He's so big. He's so big.
He looks a little bit like Eddie Lacy running.
He doesn't look fast, but like he's big, you know? It's like I don't know.
Dude, the Patriots offense is so terrible.
It's poop.
Real bad.
It's super bad. Congratulations on your Ramondre Stevenson best game of the year, I think. I don't think he's scored more than this.
Yeah, definitely.
All season long.
Definitely not.
Yep, best game of the year for him.
Best game of the year.
Of course.
But Tony Pollard is very disappointing and continues
extremely disappointing.
Really terrible.
Turns out Mike McCarthy doesn't know shit about running backs.
It's not.
Turns out.
Tony Pollard was amazing when they had Zeke around. Like, looked so
as
good.
a
He looked
spell.
like Etienne out there. Like, every time he got the ball, it was like he had that Kenneth Walker effect where you get him in space and he's just like he can house any play. That's what Tony
Like, he had
Pollard
a-
is. But it's like he's not
like-
that guy this year. It's so weird.
Broke his leg last year. I don't know. I think feel like that's kind of related.
Yeah,
For
it does
running-
take a while to
Breaking your leg
come
could be an
back
issue.
from broken bones and stuff. But it's like
Yeah, but
it's
it's
different
a-
from a ligament injury, you know?
Well, it could. I mean, depending on how bad the break is, like if you know,
yeah,
it's
that's
just
true.
a rehab process. Like,
Did he
if
break
it's
his
just
leg
not
in
there, you know?
at Philly?
I don't remember the extent of his injury. I just remember that he did get hurt last year.
Yeah.
Um,
Chris Olave got a touchdown. And
Finally.
even though he's super disappointing.
much
Yeah,
to my
that's big.
chagrin because I played against Derek Carr this week.
Oh, rip. Yeah.
Mm.
And he's been ass. So naturally, he had a good game. Jacoby
Right.
Myers is the
Still-
number one target.
Speaking
in
of
that
Derek
offense.
Carr.
Speaking of
Somehow.
No, I'm kidding.
Somehow. Bradley Chubb has put in a very good season for the Dolphins. Like, just in general.
Absolutely.
Oh, he did his best to defeat Kansas City.
He did his
Yeah.
very best.
Yeah.
Jordan Poyer is finally
Tackle
looking like the
machine.
Jordan Poyer I remember from
Yeah.
several years ago. He's a tackle machine. He's
And
that
Bynum's
safety. He's
showing
that
up,
big bodied safety that's like built like Bobby Wagner, but plays safety and is super fast. Like, dude, I love Jordan Poyer. He's a beast.
Mhm.
Bynum's still good.
Bynum's still good. Honorable mention. We talked about it earlier, but CJ Stroud had, in my opinion, the best game of his career. That's not to say that he won't be, good for fantasy or good in real life. It's just like I don't think he'll top that. Like 500 yards passing and 5 touchdown games are rare. You see those once a career. Not everyone's Tom Brady. Not everyone plays quarterback for 20 years and gets multiple games like that throughout their career. Hopefully CJ Stroud stays around for a long time because I like the Texans a lot. I want to see them do well. Having more quality quarterbacks in the league makes fantasy more fun. So please, CJ
Makes the
Stroud,
game better.
keep
Yeah.
I
doing
like
it.
Stroud. I
Yeah.
really do like Stroud.
His story is also crazy. He's dealt with a lot of adversity in life, and
Yeah.
he came from a dark place. So
I have
His
I-
post game
just-
conference about his going on about his incarcerated dad and like dedicating his performance to that was
Yeah.
it's super moving. So
Yeah. No, I really like CJ Stroud, man. I think during the draft process he was just like so unfairly evaluated.
I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that the offensive system that he was running was not really a pro style offense. It was a lot of the like just hit the go route, like just we have better receivers than them, just throw it to them.
It was it's a combo of Ohio State has better receiver talent than anybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Like he was throwing to JSN and Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be going to come
One of the
into this
best, yeah, one of the
league
top
and
picks next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, like there's a reason.
That's insane. Like even on like a NFL offense, all those pieces at once would be broken, and he had that in college.
And so it was people scout the helmet of Ohio State. People just have.
Oh yeah, because of the bad Ohio
the
State
curse.
quarterbacks have the curse. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then on top of that, you had Bryce Young and Will Levis who had more pro ready offenses that are more they're built around pro systems and use professional it's just a little
Terminology
bit
and
different.
stuff.
It's a little bit
Yep.
different, and they thought that there would be a concern with CJ Stroud adapting to the pro style offense. Now,
and then the other thing that sank his stock like during the process, because he was kind of like coming into the year, into the,
He
like,
was
the
top.
college year. He was the first. He was like number one guy, and then like throughout the process, like people kept saying like Bryce Young this because of the because of the Heisman and the season he just had. But then like there was this new test like the Wonderlic or like kind of like QB test called the S2, which is still bullshit because maybe
it's like Spark Score. It's like
yeah,
who
it's
fucking
like an
cares?
IQ test. It's like what does it actually do, like
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so like that got leaked and it was apparently bad, but no, who fucking knows kind of thing. With that, so yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah. And then you had Anthony Richardson come out and like everyone was super obsessed with him after because he had like the best combine in history. It's like all
literally.
this dumb shit happens during the
Mhm.
draft process that changes the evaluation of quarterbacks, and it's like
Clouds it all up.
it's the same thing as Jalen Carter. It's like all the the character concerns and his poor conditioning for a playoff game. It's like, does he really like football? But it's like the tape don't lie, and that was the case with C.J. Stroud. Is like you look at the tape, like that playoff game that he had last year.
Rose Bowl game, yeah.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl game against Georgia was like,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah, I mean the Georgia game, the Rose Bowl game against Utah, like he threw to JSN for 300 yards. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah, like there was, I don't, yeah, I just don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. So that's pretty
Nobody
much
should have
it.
been down on CJ Stroud.
That's pretty much it. Trevor's in another nightmare situation where he has to wait till Thursday evening to figure out if he won or lost this week. Sorry.
Good luck to him. Again, yeah,
Yep.
that shit sucks.
Let's look at matchups for next week. And then
Well,
get out
I'll
of
start
here.
with I'll start off, Scott, with Steve and myself. So
Yeah.
we both
Yep,
need to win
that's
this
going to
game.
be a
We
banger.
both need to win this game.
That's going to
And
be a
are
banger.
projected pretty similarly right now, although the stats mean nothing because most of that difference comes out in the IDP.
Yeah.
But
Well, and also like just in general, like all of those fucking projections are pretty terrible, man.
yeah, they're pretty awful.
I think they're good for evaluating the floor of a player, but like the things that you don't factor in is like it factor, the intangibles, they do factor in the matchup. That's about it.
Yeah.
It's like matchup and then like projected baseline stats for IDP. That's primarily tackles, and for wide receiver, running back, that's primarily catches and rushing yards, and it's based on like over unders from Vegas, and then for quarterbacks it's passing and then projected touchdowns, and it's generally somewhat accurate, but it's like this, you see it every week. It's like you have donuts and you have 50-point games.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
The
it
other one,
happens.
your matchup with Danny, since you both have just been kind of dog shit recently, I think that'll be good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna lose, but we'll see. I'm really excited for the cartoon. see what he does
Yeah.
with my not to 3 sad onions logo. You got Matt and Casey. I'm not sure why Casey does. Casey have a bunch of.
Bye
He
week?
just everyone was
Yeah.
on bye for him this week. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just
No, well,
Arthur
everybody
Smith's- Arthur
everybody
fault.
who's rostered this week is now on bye.
Hmm.
So he has to go swap them all out.
well, no, he had his bye week. His bye Mageddon was this week. That's why I was so frustrated. It's like-
Right. No, that's what I'm saying is that Ayuk is coming off.
Oh, true.
Um,
yeah, I see what you mean.
Like
he just hasn't adjusted.
there's
his
just he
lineup.
hasn't adjusted his lineup.
Yeah.
Fred Warner's coming off.
Yep. Oh, how about this? Trevor is in a must-win game against Ben, who is just the punching bag of the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, rip to Ben, dude.
That's a good get right
Rip-
game for Trevor.
Rip Penn.
Yeah.
Rip Ben.
Mostert on
Ben has
bye
like
is going to be rough.
Oh,
Ben has
Jordan.
the potential to.
Jordan and Josh is a saucy matchup. I like that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, Joe. Is that Ben, in terms of points for, has the potential to hang with like any team in the league
Yeah.
if he gets lucky, but he just
he's
has
got, like,
not.
a decent points for, just like overall, but it's just like his against, you just like get
He just gets
smacked.
He gets
mashed on.
slammed. He
Yeah.
gets slammed.
I do want to point out, after going 0-3, John has rattled off 6 straight. That's called running the table, boys.
Yeah, that's an impressive streak.
That's a comeback for sure.
That is a comeback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a good reminder.
He's
to everybody
making
who's
making moves too. He's traded for running backs. Like he's picked up a couple of like he got Zach Moss and Alexander Madison, and like he's doing stuff and he's working the wire. Like good on you.
I mean, it also helps to have ETN, like just
It does help to have a cheat code on your team.
a whole series
Yeah.
of multi-touchdown games.
Says the AJ Brown owner.
It does help,
Yeah, it's
Yep.
nice to have the
Like
best
it.
player on your team available and doing stuff.
except for in my case, it didn't work.
Yeah. And you won't have him this week, so
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it.
remember,
Yeah,
defense wins championships.
And Steve
it
sucks.
does. And fuck you both. All
Later.
right, peace.